I'm Tom Woodling. I'm an operations engineer, just trying to really bring a bit of rigor and a bit of control into managing operations. The company has grown enormously in a relatively short space of time. In the last few years, it's more than trebled in size, but also a lot more sites. And because of that, teams have become bigger, and it's much harder to keep track of everything by just people talking to other people. And as soon as you hit that threshold, what's needed is some kind of asset management. And so my goal when I started here was to be able to give answers. So when someone says, how many PCs do we have on a site? How many PCs do we have running Windows 7 versus Windows 10? Which PCs run in this domain? Which PCs run in this domain? And it's being able to give quick, accurate answers that I have a high degree of confidence in. And Lansweeper just tracks all that information brilliantly. I mean, with migrating PCs from Windows 7 on one domain to Windows 10 on another domain, it tracks the changes in names. It doesn't go creating loads of extra spurious kind of assets, which is very helpful for the licensing as well. But it's simple things like that. It's that I have an audit trail. So when someone says, "Oh, how did this PC end up here?" I can go and look and I can say, "Oh, on this date it had its name changed. On this date it moved domain. On this date it moved site. It went from this site to this site in the IP ranges." Honestly, of everything I've done in this company, I think two things. One was I took control of WSUS when I very first started here. I took one look at how it was done and went, not quite optimal, and now it works a lot better. But the other thing, and I think the one that's actually helped with the more expansive targets is definitely Lansweeper, because now I use Lansweeper to tell me when servers aren't getting the patches or aren't getting the updates and things like that. So it's brilliant because it means I can take a step back from having to individually trawl through a series of different systems like day in and day out just to find little bits of information. And instead, I can just check Lansweeper and run a few reports, and it actually warns me when things aren't working. It tells me, these servers haven't rebooted for over 30 days. These PCs don't have an antivirus running. Just little things like that. It's really so helpful. It makes such a difference. Initially, I did a bit of research online, the usual stuff, check the forums, sysadmin forums, that kind of stuff. To be honest, when I saw that Lansweeper even gets praise on Reddit, and getting praise on Reddit for anything is quite a rare, but Lansweeper had a great deal of praise and very positive responses from people. And that tallied very much with an informal survey I'd done of former colleagues who'd also implemented these kind of solutions. So it seemed great for me. The first step in a good, reliable asset management system is, of course, it's building your asset baseline. It's knowing what you've got out there. And prior to having Lansweeper, this was all managed by spreadsheets, CSVs, and it's just, I'm sure you don't need me to go into too much detail about how painful that gets. It's fine if you've got 100 laptops on a spreadsheet, you can just about keep track of that. But when all of a sudden it's decided that you're going to hand out, 1,000 in the space of 3 months, it gets a bit tricky. And so it's so much nicer just to be able to say, okay, well, we take spreadsheets in, no problem. You take the assets in, and they can be added to the CMDB, no problem at all. But then when you want to know what's happening to them, I don't want to have to make my poor help desk agents, click through like 20 tickets a day just to change who's using a laptop, or to say it's not, or even to say a desktop's moved. I just want Lansweeper to find it, and then it can push all the information, and we still have the changes, and they're still tracked, there's still an audit trail, and it's just, just brilliant. My favourite feature in Lansweeper is definitely the SQL Report Builder. I just think it's fantastic. What I actually do is, on the Lansweeper server, I have it set up with an ODBC connection, and then what I can do is I can use PowerShell, Microsoft PowerShell, to build scripts that can query directly into Lansweeper. And the SQL reports, I can literally just copy them from Lansweeper directly to these scripts. So I can test everything in Lansweeper safely and securely and quickly. And then once I'm satisfied with the information that's coming back, transfer it to a script, and bang, I can run it. I can get information really quickly, and then I can do stuff with it. So that's, for example, how we're going to fill our CMDB, and how we maintain our CMDB, is to have this running basically a scheduled task that just runs every hour, gets the information from Lansweeper, compares it to the CMDB, where there's updates, pushes it through. And I can change that in minutes by just going in, slightly altering the report, and then it's done. So I absolutely love that feature. I think it's really, it's something I've not had in this kind of tool before, and I think it really opens up a huge range of possibilities for it. Because of the kind of company we are, we have a huge quantity of types of printers. We have printers to print labels for big packages, for small packages. We have printers to print giant posters for the stores. We have, obviously you have standard office printers to print A4, but so there's a huge variety of different ones, and they all sit in different network segments, and no one had ever really looked at them as one body before. Okay. And this is again, so currently we have a single printer in there just testing, the SNMP connections and all that kind of stuff. But soon they're all going in there, and it's going to be the gateway to actually unleashing Lansweeper across the whole network. So rather than just pointing it at the domains, we're working towards using it to actually try and eventually discover every IP device, and in fact every device with a compatible protocol that runs in any of our networks. But one of the key reasons I absolutely like using Lansweeper is, when you ask companies about their built-in discovery system, it's always an afterthought to their main help desk CRM system, and it takes ages to get a response, and getting new features in them is the pace is glacial. Whereas with Lansweeper, the support is fast. It's really helpful. I mean, every time I've raised a request, I've got a good, clear answer, and nearly always the answer I was hoping for. Occasionally not, but always delivered with a great deal of professionalism. So again, it's definitely saved me a huge amount of time, because just initially, I can get information much more quickly. But also, it's because it's got a really nice front end, and it's everyone I've given access to the system finds it really easy to use and navigate. I can just say to people, if they want this information regularly, there it is, off you go. So, brilliant. I'm really, really happy to have Lansweeper in the company and be able to use it every day, which I do.